delivered the same day that my stitch was removed, which was 3 weeks earlier than my due date. And it was a normal delivery. The cerclage, it's called cervical incompetence or a cervical, of what I mean by cervix length and excruciating pain. There was a lot of pelvic pain, I'm not going to lie about it. To remove it twice, the stitch. So initially on my 36th week when I went, everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Ranjita Shastri. So today's vlog is not going to be a daily vlog. It is going to be a vlog about a complication that I had to go through during my pregnancy journey. So I will very try to keep it very short. Just explain the major things about the complication that I had to go through. So the complication that I had was, it has various names. So it's called cervical cerclage, it's called cervical incompetence, or a cervical stitch. For me, the cervical, so this was discovered during my second trimester scanning. Around my 18th week, it was discovered. So that's where they do the ultrasound scanning or a transvaginal scanning. For me, a transvaginal scanning was done, and the length of my cervix was measured. I'll put up a picture here of what I mean by cervix length and what is meant by cervical dilation. Cervical dilation is different, and your cervical length is different. So you will be able to better understand by this picture. So the length of cervix is measured. So the lesser the length of your cervix is, there are higher chances that you might have a miscarriage, that you might have a preterm delivery, or any complication that is related to a preterm delivery. So that is why it is important that they measure the length of your cervix during your second trimester. So this was done, and my cervical length was 2.6. The borderline is 2.5 centimeters, and usually the cervical length is well above 3 centimeters. So mine was somewhere close to borderline, so that's where my doctor decided that we'll go for a cervical stitch. So when the stitch is put, it is easier for the baby to stay inside. um, so um, so when the September 10th was when my cervical stitch was put. Now this is again done in an OT. The removal is not done in the OT, but when they have to put the cervical stitch, it is done in an OT, because they give you the anesthesia on your back, and your the second half of your body is completely numb. You will not feel a thing. So that's where they put the stitch, and I was in observation for an hour after the stitch was put up, and I also got admitted for a day. Now they say it was for insurance process, but I would have anyway opted to stay at the hospital, because a lot of things happen after the stitch is put. One is, there is some amount of blood discharge that happens, which is alarming. Obviously, I mean, you're pregnant, so any sort of discharge is just very alarming, right? So I they say it is common, but I still wanted the nurses and doctors to be around when that happens. There was some amount of I mean, not alarming, obviously, but there was some amount of blood discharge. And also, you're not allowed to have solids for a good 12 hours. I had a lot of headache after that. So, you're also confused if you can take any sort of medication. I had to ask the doctor who was right there. So, I could easily ask the nurse and the doctor if I can take medication for my headache and things like that. So, which is why I wanted to stay at the hospital for at least 24 hours after the stitches put up. Um, so I opted to stay, but they usually say it is a day procedure. You can get discharged the same day. So this was done on September 10th, last year, 2022. Um, this was done, and I was asked to go on bed rest, complete bed rest, up until my ninth beginning of my ninth. So why beginning of my ninth month is, because they call that the safe period, that if the baby is delivered during that time also, the baby has enough organs developed, so it can survive the outside world. So that's why that time period is called as a safe period. So even if you deliver around that time, that's perfectly fine. So up until that time is when I was asked to go on bed rest. um, Now during the whole time that I was on bed rest, I was also on this injections called progesterones. I don't remember the name of the injection, but those were the progesterone injections. So every Saturday, I a nurse would come to my house and then give me the injections. This is also done. I'm not sure. You'll have to consult your doctor to know more about progesterone injections. So for me, as per my understanding, it was done so that the baby basically stays inside the uterus wall. So I think that that injection is pretty important from what I know, from what I've discussed with my doctor. So when I say complete bed rest, that was my movements were very restricted. I was on the bed the whole time. I was only getting up to go to the washroom. And I was also working on the bed, so I had a table on which I had kept my laptop, and I was working from there. I used to watch TV, so I got a TV installed in my room itself. So I used to watch TV from there. Basically, I think from September up until December end, I was on the bed. My movements were completely restricted. I think by December second week or third week, the doctor told you can move around a little bit. And when in the end of December, which is when I entered my ninth month, is when she told you can go out, but again be very cautious, because as and when the baby grows, the baby weight increases, it puts more pressure on your cervix, so there are higher chances that the stitch might open up. And the pressure on your cervix is a lot because your cervix is already weak, as in the length of your cervix is already less, so you might as well not take a chance, right? Um, so that's why my movements were pretty restricted. And I did follow it completely. It could sound boring. It was boring. It was mentally very exhausting, but you have to do what you have to do, right? So during this whole time there were a lot of festivities like Diwali, Dasra, a lot of festivities were there. That is the festival time. So I used to feel very low around this time, but I did manage to get through it by watching Netflix, reading a lot of books. Obviously, I was doing work, so I was occupied for at least 5 to 6 hours in a day um, with my work. And apart from that, I also started learning how to do self makeup, because that's one thing that you can do when you're on the bed. Um, just take care of your skin. So I started doing an AM/PM routine on my skin, and I started to go through a lot of makeup tutorials. And I did my own makeup for Diwali, and it turned out to be really good. So my days were occupied in these things. It's just that I started taking care of my body. Also, a lot of questions around this complication was that what was I eating? Did my diet change? It definitely changed, because the doctor told I can eat anything. I could eat anything. There was no restriction there. But because I was on bed the whole time, I would only have, I mean, I would majorly have only fibrous food, because the digestion happens easier, because you're on your bed the whole time. There is no physical activity that you're doing, so it's very difficult for your body to digest whatever you eat, which is why I used to have a lot of carrot, lot of greens. I had introduced a lot of greens in my diet, which I was doing initially as well, before my pregnancy as well. So you should not, the digestion process should not take really long, because then there are other complications that you have to go through, like constipation, you know, acidity and things like that. So that is something that you'll have to avoid. You will have to include more fibrous food in your diet. So that's something that changed in my diet. Some of the other questions were around my sleep. Which side would I sleep? So when the stitch was done, I used to sleep on my back, which is not advisable, but I felt comfortable sleeping on my back. for, because I was still in my second trimester, it was okay. But later I started, it was not so comfortable anymore. So I slept either on the left side or on the right side. So it depends. Like for some time I used to sleep on my left, for some time I used to sleep on my right. You should just trust your body. Your body will tell you which, how it is comfortable, and which side it is comfortable. That's what my doctor also told. You can sleep however you're comfortable. There is, just that you don't have to sleep on your back if it is uncomfortable, but otherwise just follow what your body says. That's what I did. And There were questions around discharge. So I had a lot of discharge, white discharge. I had a lot of it. So I also got something called as a pelvic pain in my third trimester, and it was excruciating pain. There was a lot of pelvic pain. I'm not going to lie about it. It was the pain was unbearable. I could not walk to the washroom. I could not walk anywhere. I could not turn around when I was sleeping. So that pain was a lot. I could not I take the pain. So I had to go to the doctor. She got it checked. I did have a little bit of infection because she saw that I had a lot of discharge. So she got, I got it further checked, and I did not have, there was no complication around that infection. It was, I had the infection because there were a lot of discharge. There was bacteria, but it was not at an alarming rate. When I got it checked, it was okay, it was fine. She did not really give any medication for it because you're not allowed to take antibiotics when you're, it was not advisable when you're pregnant. There was discharge, but it was not at an alarming rate, so that was fine. But obviously there was a lot of pelvic pain, and you cannot really do anything about it, because I am on bed and they usually tell you you can walk a little to ease out the pain, but I was not allowed to walk. So the pain just got worsened, and I think it reduced after 3 4 weeks. Around 3 4 weeks it reduced in my third trimester, but the pain was too much. Now coming to the cervical stitch removal. uh, is it painful, is it not painful? So I will just tell my experience. I had gone through a lot of videos where they mentioned that it was not at all painful. I had both experiences. One was painful, the other wasn't painful. So like I said initially, I was my doctor had put a double knot, um, to keep the stitch intact. So she had to remove it twice, the stitch. So initially on my 36th week when I went, she removed one stitch, and then the other stitch was removed on the 37th week. Now, when she removed the first stitch, and she did it in her own cabin, on the bed that is there on the doctor's cabin. So she did it there, and it was painful. It was a lot painful. I'm not sure why, but because they weren't. It's not that comfortable for me also to sleep, right? Um, so it was very painful. And the next time when she had to remove, she told, we'll take you to the labor room only. So she took me to the labor room, and there I was prepped properly, and there were correct instruments. So that's when they removed the other stitch, and that was not painful. That was very easy. So if your doctor gives you an option to, remove the stitch, um, on their bed without all those um, things where you can keep your leg, then I would suggest just ask them if they can do this in an OT, or in the labor room, because that's just easier. Because second time I did not feel a thing. Now, questions were all. I got a lot of questions that, when did you deliver after your stitch was removed? So I delivered the same day that my stitch was removed, which was 3 weeks earlier than my due date, and it was a normal delivery. I was really surprised that, even after staying on bed rest for such a long time, I could still deliver normally. It's also because my cervix was already ready to open up, right? Which is why I think I had a normal delivery. That right when the stitch was removed, my doctor examined and she told, you're already 3 centimeters dilated. And I was happy, but I was also obviously nervous. And I think I got admitted that same day. I mean, I was already in the labor room, I just had to get shifted to the ward. So I think I got admitted around 12 p.m., and by 9:30 I had delivered. So this particular thing, my labor story, my delivery story, I'm going to be doing another video of how I went through the whole labor process, and whole labor process without an epidural. So it was a painful delivery, but I did not take an epidural. I mean, if I could, I would have taken, but there were restrictions on that as well, so I could not take the epidural. So but I had a normal delivery, and I was really happy about it. Not that I am advocating a normal delivery. I was okay with a C-section or normal, but that's how it happened. So yeah, if you have any questions, or if you want me to do any specific video about my pregnancy journey or anything of that sort, do let me know. I will soon be uploading my labor or delivery story. Um, so hope this video was informative for women who are going through a similar complication. I hope it was helpful. And if you have any questions or anything, do ask in the comment section. And do subscribe to my channel for more such informative videos on my pregnancy journey. I will try to share my experience as much as possible. However, again, giving a disclaimer, please do ask your gynac about any doubt that you have. So on that note, I would like to end this vlog. So I will see you another day with another vlog.